Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we begin to slowly file out of the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 1 minute at a time. I am Tom Taylor.
I'm Harrison Psych. I'm Pete Mummert.
Mr. Ford.
just like this stupid minute.
I'm Gerald Christopher. I can't f***ing believe this is the last actual film part of this movie. Of this whole thing.
Uh-huh.
We started this, was it 2014?
Something like that, yeah. I was in high school. You weren't married yet? Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it was the whole thing. All right, Porter.
Should I introduce myself?
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
There you go, Damien.
I'm Damien Fahey, and I did not watch the movie.
That's some of the finest work that you could have done.
I saw
the
the
show.
movie a long time ago when it came out, and I remember being pretty disappointed by it.
Yeah.
Well,
That's not an uncommon reaction.
You saw it in the theater?
Yeah. I mean, I was a huge Indiana Jones fan growing up, as a kid in the 80s, and, had the hat and all that stuff, and this was a bit of a letdown, as I remember. And then I kind of scrolled around about a half hour ago watching the movie, and that opinion still kind of holds.
Well, I mean, it's fantastic you're here for this momentous minute, the last.
Yeah, you get to leave after this.
Yeah, we end on a quite a high note, I'm sure.
Oh yes. Well, let me be specific. This is minute 117, and this is the last movie minute. This is the last minute with any movie stuff in it, and it begins with a magical hat landing at Mutt's feet, and it ends with the cast credits. And before we get into this, I don't know if we got letters or emails or anything last time, but I totally missed. For some reason, I went into some like Wikipedia rabbit hole about like what the Bible was that they were using in this ceremony and stuff, and they said something about the Brody family Bible, which then was given to Marshall College or something. And if you look in the background at the end of the previous minute in the background, the minister has the Raiders Bible, the Bible from the Top Men scene. He's got the buckles and everything, and he's carrying it. And you miss it completely in this minute, but in the previous minute it was there, and that's a little bit of Raiders folklore that we should have caught and paid attention to. So I just wanted to get that in.
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty incredible.
Well,
it's bizarre.
Speaking of like weird stuff like that, I don't know if anyone ever saw the movie Woman in the Window by Fritz Lang, which is a mostly wonderful, fantastic movie until the very end when you get what I would call a reverse gut punch. And I feel like that's what this movie's giving us. It's like the biggest Psych. And I don't understand why it's here. Like, I don't know. They set this up and you're like, oh my God, it's the passing of the hat. And it's Mutt. We've been building up this the whole movie. Psych.
But do you say that the way you say it there, it makes it sound like you wanted him to put on the hat and be the new Indiana Jones, Pete?
Well, I don't honestly, at this point in the movie, I don't care either way. But why do you put it in there? Like, why do you do that?
Okay, Damien, you're a writer. You're a professional writer. Your writing has been on screen and people have seen it. So what's weird to me about this moment is that it's completely meta. It's like the only reason it's in the movie is because people are thinking, oh, is Shia LaBeouf, not even Mutt, is Shia LaBeouf going to be the next Indiana Jones and he's going to carry the mantle, he's going to wear the hat? But in the context of the scene, it makes absolutely no sense at all. So is that valid? Is that an okay thing to do? Is that how you could write something and have it matter?
Generally, the first thing you want to do as a writer is sort of, outline whatever you're working on, and the first question you ask is, does this make sense? And I don't know if it does, and I'm not a huge fan. Look, I mean, I guess I'm sort of these movies, Indiana Jones movies can sort of be a little bit of a wink or nod to the audience, breaking the fourth wall kind of a thing. So I don't know, maybe it's okay, but it did feel a bit a little ham-fisted, I feel like.
Well, okay, so what's interesting is we watch the final minute play out, and as Pete, you said eloquently, it's a psych, right? Mm-hmm. But in real life, it was a psych.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's nuts. We were all sort of thinking, okay, so Shia LaBeouf is now Indiana Jones' son, and he's going to carry the mantle of adventure. And if Indiana Jones if adventure has a name, it's now Shia LaBeouf. And it's like, no, it's like it played out in a, I don't know, watching this minute, that's all I could think is like, okay, yes, this is how it is in the movie, but actually this is how it is in real life.
And it feels like Spielberg was giving Shia LaBeouf and Mutt the middle finger right here. Like, he's like, you don't live up to this.
But is there anything in the movie up to this point that makes you think that Mutt wants to, A, wear a fedora, or B, become an archaeologist or an adventurer or anything? Like, doesn't he just kind of want to go home and work on his bike and be a cool kid at the soda shop and stuff?
I honestly feel like they just put it in there, like, because people are kind of like, well, is this the last Indiana Jones?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no,
totally.
I bet it's going to continue. Oh, I guess not.
Oh, yeah. Well.
There was only one Indiana Jones. I don't know. I don't know. This seems like a weird ending to me.
Yeah. What is his, like, I guess, want in the movie? That's, it definitely isn't to be the next Indiana Jones, right?
Right. I mean, like, if anything, he's got like a begrudging acceptance of Indy as his dad and maybe as a person, like he's been on an adventure with him and said, okay, he's not such a bad old guy or something, but it's not like he's...
And who wants to be their dad, too? That's
really? Has anybody here ever taken a piece of their father's clothing and put it on and said, this is mine now? I'm going to wear this now. This
At least after the age of like 8.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, yes, I wore like my dad's vest as like Han Solo once or twice, but that's...
Yeah,
right.
but when you're 20 years old, it's a little weirder.
Yeah.
Also,
well, I was 20.
Aside, because I did sort of skip around about a half hour ago to sort of refresh as much of my memory as possible. The movie starts out with one of my least favorite things in movies, which is a bunch of white people from the 50s in a convertible having a good time. I can't stand that. It's why I don't like Grease. It's why I don't really like the 50s. I don't really care for the music. It was just all white people having a great time while we know what else was going on in the 50s.
Yep.
All right?
Entitled little bastards.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite comment we've ever had on the show. Thank you, Damien. That was beautiful.
Damn convertibles.
Yeah.
And they get to show off more of the fun.
Yeah. It's a great time to be alive. If you're white. Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting, though, because, I mean, you could see them maybe not addressing anything like that in the 30s or 40s, but it does seem a little weirder, like in the late 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't get us all off
No. It needs to be said.
So let me ask you, Damien, as our guest, can you wear a hat? Can you wear a hat well?
No.
No hats.
I would say I'll go baseball hat. That's it, though. Like, I'm not a fedora guy. I don't want to be a fedora guy. I don't like, so I don't sort of like the way fedora guys, I don't like the way they carry themselves in public. And there's sort of a sense of like, superiority with fedora guys, like.
Well, it works with Indy, but I was looking, I surveyed.
But Indy was a fedora guy in the 1930s and 40s when the fedora guy was every guy.
It was a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's like Indy wearing a backwards baseball cap in the 90s.
Well, no one else in the church is wearing a hat. No other men.
Yeah, some
of
the ladies are,
yeah, some of the ladies are wearing hats, which is very interesting because looking at it, you're like, all right, so here's Indy. He snatches the hat. I guess they're saying...
I don't think you're supposed to wear a hat in a church.
I was going to say, are the men going to put their hats on when they get out?
Yeah.
Well, you're not. And so what's interesting about this, keep in mind Indy's relationship with Yahweh, right? He has an ongoing relationship. And also, I think the vibe at the end, the ending of the movie is, okay, so Indy's settling down. You get this, he's probably going to pick out a lazy boy, and maybe he'll get up on a Saturday morning and mow the lawn.
Yeah.
But his adventures are over, and that's why Mutt picks up the hat.
But
Yes.
hold on, back up. Did Indy just block Yahweh? Because Yahweh just blew the hat to Mutt.
Oh.
Oh.
Not only does he blocks him, and then he also wears a hat inside in God's house. You know, he doesn't even care. He doesn't wait till he
it's
gets
like
outside.
the ultimate. Yeah, he's like
a
not
double
only
FU.
do
Yeah.
not
I
get
love Indiana
Mutt.
Jones of the whole series, but I do feel like there's way too much convenient wind throughout.
There is. Yeah, whether it's ruffling some candles
this
or
blew in, and then this thing just no.
my chimes are going nuts.
Yeah.
This portends
Well,
something.
I guess the vibe of it is like, all right, just because Indy's supposed to leave, he's supposed to have this domestic life now, and he puts the hat on, he takes it away from Mutt, and the vibe is, nope, I'm not done yet, kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Mutt's left to do the like when you have to save face, and he does his own little. Oh, I meant to do a psych here too. Like after you fake high five somebody and then run your hand through your hair. Like after the last of the line goes by, he takes out his comb. He's like, oh, and like combs his hair.
Yeah. I still got this. I'm still Mutt at least.
He
Can't take that
he
away
does.
from me.
He goes Mutt.
And you know what's super weird is he's had his jacket there on the end of the pew the entire time.
Yeah, did he wear that over his sports coat?
he just brought it. He's gonna be in the service. He's like standing up at the service, but he's like some guy was sitting next to it the whole time. He's like, oh, excuse me, sir, can I just leave this here? This grubby kind of sick smelling leather jacket, thanks.
What if he was trying to
touch
save a seat for somebody that never showed?
Oh, his one friend who
His
didn't
plus
show.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys
Colin
think
Williams.
that the Mayapur village sent the decorative garlands?
Oh, maybe.
I said
want them
that for
to.
Pete. I actually wrote that down, and I'm like, Pete's
you.
gonna laugh.
And we said it last time, but it's still true. Just seeing like the last image is of like this super suburban, clean, white church. And that's like the end of this Indiana Jones movie. That does
Well,
It
it's
actually,
a little
what's
odd.
interesting, when I watched this clip, it made me want to watch the music video for November Rain, which I did. And I feel like we could do like a podcast on that. You know,
Sure.
maybe, yeah. You guys, yeah.
You could do it 1 minute at a time. It'd be like an 11-week podcast or something.
Yeah.
I think it was long.
So, okay, this came up the other day. Would you consider Guns N' Roses a hair metal band?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Sure, Tommy.
They
go right
were
ahead.
until people realized they were Guns N' Roses. Well, like when Sweet Child of Mine came out, it was absolutely in step with all that hair metal stuff. It was just another example of that. But then people were like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's like a different band." Okay, it's like they're doing something a little different.
I think that's it. I think they started as a hair metal band, and then people heard them play and said, "Okay, they're like." Then they sort of went into hard rock.
And somewhere along the way, they became iconic.
Have you seen the Thor trailer? It's all like
Oh,
orchestral
yeah,
Sweet
yeah.
Child of Mine.
Yeah,
the Thor
yeah.
trailer. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful song. Oh my goodness, wow, I can't wait to see Thor. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, also speaking of weird, why does this look like a 1980s TV show when the credits start rolling?
Oh, it does sort of.
Yeah,
It looks
is
weird.
Yeah.
Like this could be the end of a Fantasy Island episode.
Yeah, it totally
Kinda,
could.
yeah.
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 Does
Hang on,
is there something evocative of the ending of Raiders in this scene? Like, because I was watching this, I'm looking at the church. You got the brown pews and the white church, and I for some reason I thought fools, bureaucratic fools. And I wondered, they tie in the Bible, right? As you said, Tommy, the Bible's in there.
Yeah.
That one I wish that it had been a little more fan service because I missed that entirely.
Yeah.
You think?
I wish
Yeah.
they'd called that out a little more or something.
Can I ask a question here? So
Yeah.
Okay, so they just got married, right?
Right.
And so why is there no one in the pews? Why, like, where are all these people? There's a big line of people. Where are they walking from? They were up on the altar? Like, was it?
Gosh,
They
that's
were-
a really good question.
They
They
doing
were all
photos,
just sitting
or
in the
what was it?
pews.
Yeah.
Did they all like file to the front so they could all come down the aisle together?
Usually
In
with a
reverse?
wedding, you stand in the pews, right? And like you walk
Yeah.
out of it. There's so many people. Where were they? They were
Well, there were
my
only
God.
2 rows of people though, so they would have had to walk 2 pews, and then everyone's just in a clump.
yeah.
I don't know though. It looks like where Mutt is standing is like where Oxley was and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like there were people sitting in those rows, but now you're right. They all somehow are
Maybe.
funneling from the front of the church.
They were all on one row. Like they're all on the one row we can't see. That's not in the frame.
Yeah, apparently.
They're like
Yeah.
sitting on top of each other.
Maybe
By the way,
funny.
that church looks hot as balls, and everyone's wearing like
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
patch.
That's the 50s for you.
suits.
yeah.
Do you know that that church is right by my house in Studio City?
Oh, that's a real church.
Yeah.
It is. That's a real church. They film a lot of stuff there. When they need like a hot as balls scene.
Wow.
We're still waiting for your man on the street, Jerry.
Yeah.
Your report
Yeah, I have to do
from the
that.
front of the place.
Well, where are they? Is there going to be a reception? Where do you think they're going to have a reception, Damien?
Oh, I think you got to go to Shakey's.
You got. Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, good
Got to go to Shakey's. Get your name up there on the sign.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a local LA reference, by the way. Anyone listening outside of LA is not going to get that.
Is that not Shakey's Pizza?
It is. It's Shakey's.
It is because they had Shakey's Pizza in Potomac, Maryland, when I was a
Oh,
kid.
I thought it was only in LA. Okay.
I think mine now it might be. Like I don't know if I think maybe the last one's hanging on.
We're going to all go to Shakey's
but
Pizza, and all 50 of those people are going to sit at a 2-seater tabletop.
right.
Yeah.
I just
There's
remember
a-
Shakey's because it was the first place I ever in my life played Space Invaders. So it was very special to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
I was
There's
horrible at
there's
it.
an old school Shakey's still hanging on in Palm Springs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Really?
Awesome.
Yeah, like eating pizza, going to a pizzeria, eating pizza, and over playing video games, like grease all over the video game. Man, that was awesome. That was such a fun part of growing up in the
And just imagine it in your Sunday best. With your
Right.
bride on your arm,
Right.
your new kid.
Right.
Yeah, with his leather
Your
jacket.
collar's all sweating and wet.
Yeah. Yeah, is Mutt going to take off his wedding jacket and put on his leather jacket, or is he going to put the leather jacket on over the other jacket? What's he going to do now?
I don't
What's
know.
his plan?
Where is he
Is he even
going?
going to Shakey's? He might not even go to Shakey's. He might just like ditch the jacket and put the leather coat on and just ride off.
To me, he walks out of the church. You see sort of a exterior of the church, and he walks out, and Slash is, stops playing the guitar solo, punches him fairly in the face, and then goes back to playing the guitar solo.
Yep.
Well, is the fact that it's a leather coat, is this sort of like a Luke Skywalker has like the one robot hand, so he's a little bit like his dad, but he doesn't go full on and with the whole body. Like
He's slowly becoming Indiana Jones. Like he's got a leather jacket that's the wrong color. Next time it'll be the right color. Then he'll get a hat. Then he'll get a whip. It'll be the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so are we supposed to think? Okay, so this movie came out in 2008. Are we supposed
did it
to
really?
think it did? It came out in
Yeah.
2008.
Oh, that's a lot later than I thought. Okay.
Are we supposed to think that they're going to have an Indy 5 now? Or is this the ending of the Indiana Jones Chronicles?
There's going to be another one.
Well, there is, but I
We know
mean,
that now, yeah.
yeah, we know that, but I mean, let me say this. Would you be, Gridley, I'm going to feed you wet food in a minute. I'm podcasting. Come on. Do you think that they wanted us to believe that the series was not over?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's,
Okay.
okay,
Oh,
well, it's
I
very
took
different.
the opposite impression.
I was going to say it's very different than the ending of Last Crusade is like, everybody get up, get out of your seats, go home and live a wonderful, happy life. Like we're
Yeah.
riding off into the sunset. This seems to leave the door open.
It does, but we were saying last time, like he's going to Shakey's, and then once the party's all over, he's going to go home and read the paper, and maybe on Saturday, if it's long enough, he'll cut the grass.
Yeah.
He's not riding off into the sunset. He's like riding a John Deere into the garage or something.
Yeah. And he also probably has, he's probably in has stage 2 cancer from the atomic bomb radiation.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
Almost mercifully, he doesn't have long to live.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the Andy Cap part of you is coming coming out.
But this whole movie's like a thing where, when you're visiting someone out of town and you're like, okay, goodbye, it was great seeing you, and everyone hugs and everything, and then you walk out towards the street, and then you end up staying there and hanging out for another hour, and then when you say goodbye again, it's like super awkward.
Yeah.
And it's like we said goodbye already, and now they did it really well last movie, and now it's kind of like
Yeah. Like then they asked if they could sleep over. And you're like, I guess we can make up the couch. I guess. Okay.
It's like Cher being like, "This is the last tour, you guys. I swear. I swear. This is it. Wait, nope, another one. 2 years later. Yeah.
Well, it's like there's not an expression, a mic pickup. It's a mic drop. You don't drop the mic and then you're like, I'm gonna do that again. That was fun.
Placing the mic gently in the mic cozy for next time. Yeah.
I'm going to say something controversial. For some reason, the music comes in and I like the minute.
Sure.
I did. I liked
that
this
Raiders
minute.
of the Lost Ark music you like so much.
I thought,
movie.
look,
Great.
I thought this was one of my favorite minutes in this hole of a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did. I don't know. I'm racing against that now, but last night I did write that note down.
Oh, wow.
For some reason I
Wow.
felt good. I liked watching Indy take the hat away, and I liked the thing. I think the music just gets me, They start with the music, and I don't know. They do. It is a strange feeling. Like there's no, what's the word? I guess conclusion or denouement for Mutt.
Right. If you wanted to spin it, it could be like a kind of melancholy thing. Like,
Well, he
he's
doesn't
laughing
look
a little
happy.
too hard at the diss,
Yeah.
and then he's like, he does his comb thing, and he grabs. I guess I'm still just Mutt, I suppose.
Yeah.
I got my jacket and my comb, and this thermos. That's all I need.
Yeah. You know what I got to say with the when the credits started rolling, the music in the credits, I did feel sort of like a nice, like nostalgic feeling for. I don't know, just the sort of slow classic credit font and the slow roll and the music playing was kind of oddly comforting a little bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, that is the music we love.
Yeah.
That's why we came here.
Well, when you see that, so all right, tell us your relationship with Indiana Jones, and did any of it influence your life?
Well, I would just say as a kid, I worshipped Indiana Jones. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. I think a lot of kids did. I wanted, I like I said, I had the hat. I remember going with my parents. I lived in Massachusetts, and there was this place up north that was, sort of large Native American population, and they had this little store that sold, like Native American trinkets and things like that. And so I remember there was I bought a whip there, and so
cool.
I remember being super excited that I had a whip, and so I was obsessed. I would like kind of go around the neighborhood in a hat with a whip and I don't know, seek out adventure.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, and did you find any? What's adventure look like back? What was it like back then?
It was Chicopee, Massachusetts, and it was just I don't know, maybe there wasn't much adventure now that I come to.
Yeah.
but you were looking for it. That's the important thing.
Yeah, it was just like an 8-year-old child wandering, alone, unsupervised in a fedora and in a whip. Yeah.
So, what is your what's your favorite of the movies?
I think probably Raiders is my favorite.
That's the right answer. Very good.
Ding.
I mean, it's clearly the best movie, right? It's out of the series. It's so good.
It is.
Well, but okay, but
Everyone
why?
agrees.
Like we and some of it depends on how old you are and that kind of stuff when you were introduced. What sort of movie introduced you to the universe? But why is Raiders your favorite? What is it about Raiders that makes it stand out?
Well, I think there's definitely that part of it where it came at a certain time. I was a certain age. You know, being a boy in the '80s, you know, at that time, it sort of it met the the time. I kind of met that movie at a perfect time, and I thought it was like parts of it I was laughing. I thought it was kind of funny, and I don't know. It's the music is awesome. You know, the score is great, and the story was cool too. You know, it's just like everything sort of lined up for me. You know, it's funny, and you go back, and I've gone back and watched it, and I actually think it makes sense why I loved this movie so much. And it was my favorite of the series. And I've recently gone back and watched Rocky IV, which was also my favorite Rocky movie of the series.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I go back and watch that, and I'm like, wow, what am I doing here? What was I doing? This movie's not as good as, you know, some of the other Rockies, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah. But I think mostly it just hit at a really, you know, perfect time in my life, and
Sure.
you know, and there's, of course, it's very quotable too. You know, there's a lot of.
Oh yeah.
That's tough because Rocky IV, I remember when that came out, and I mean, it was massive. And when you would come out of the theater, you'd be like, that's the best Rocky movie. I mean, hands down, the best. It's the biggest. It's the brightest. It's the bestest. You know, it did just feel that way. And now, of course, no, that doesn't. Like, Rocky is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Just the original. And you're like...
Rocky 3 is better than Rocky 4.
Wow,
It's
is
got
that
Mr.
right?
T for crying. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got Mr. T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Come
know,
on.
also the scene, that iconic scene where he's under the truck. That's an.
Oh yeah.
for Raiders,
Or
yeah.
back to Raiders now. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Mr. T's under a truck.
Sorry.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, I'm jumping around.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm sure it happened. Yeah. I just couldn't bring it up.
I remember seeing that scene. That scene is awesome, and it's so good, and it builds so well. And we, you know, I'm a writer for Family Guy, so we, you know, we're all huge. Well, we love the '80s, you know, obviously a lot of references on the show to the '80s. But I remember we've watched that scene multiple times. You know, every couple of years we throw that scene on, and it's like, this is such a fun scene. Yeah.
And speaking of Raiders, like I don't know why I went down this rabbit hole, but the cast credits come up at the end of this minute. We get some other stuff first, but we can with the cast listing, and I noticed that everybody is named by their full name. All the characters have their full name here, and it reminded me that in Raiders, Harrison Ford's character is just given as Indy, and I always really liked that. And then I went back through Temple of Doom and Last Crusade and looked, and he's always Indiana Jones in every other one, but in Raiders he's Indy, which I always really liked.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool.
They've never called him Indy in any other movies. Is that what?
I think they call him Indy, but he's not credited.
Oh, he's not
when they get to the
credited as
cast.
Indy.
It's not Harrison Ford as Indy.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's Indiana Jones played by Harrison Ford, Sir Harrison Ford.
I like that. Yeah.
Damien, have you ever met Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Yeah. Well,
How'd
that's
that
why
go?
you're on the last minute. Here we go. We couldn't get Harrison Ford, but we got a guy who met Harrison Ford.
Actually,
Why are we talking about minute 117? We should be talking about Harrison Ford.
Let me Google Damien Fahey, Harrison Ford, and see if a picture pops up. Oh yeah, there. Oh my God, you guys!
Oh my God!
There I am with Harrison Ford and Shia LaBeouf.
Oh my God! Wait, I'm hang on.
Wait a second.
On May 20th, must be 2005.
Yeah.
No, 2008.
Oh,
Yeah,
crazy!
right. You said 2008. Yeah, 2008. And for $500, I can buy a large photo off of GettyImages.com.
Wow, that could be your
That's
Christmas
worth
card.
it.
That's
Yeah,
worth
that
it.
is worth it.
To get rid
That
of
is worth
to get
it.
rid of the watermark, it might be worth it. That's so funny. So I remember, yeah, I mean, obviously I don't remember too much. That's kind of weird. I mean, I interviewed a lot of celebrities, but I remember I remember Harrison Ford for sure coming on, and I was like, wow, this was this is the guy that I wanted to be, when I was a little kid. And I remember sort of being like, he's so cool. He's so laid back.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
just cool. Yeah, there was no like weird, nervous celebrity thing or like, eager to please. I mean, he's also, what was he? Probably like was 60 years old when back in 2008 or whatever. So he's an older guy, but it was so cool. He was so
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, nice.
That's
And he was
great.
also
That's great to hear.
he was also so high.
That probably made it go easier.
Yeah, so that may have had something to do with it, but he was so stoned. And I also remember he was wearing an earring, which I was like, oh, that's okay. That's an interesting choice.
Well, you don't think of Indiana Jones wearing an earring.
No.
I mean, for whatever reason, maybe the time, it's 1936 or whatever.
We haven't
it's
seen
not
5 yet.
something-
We'll
That's
see.
true. We haven't seen 5 yet. But no, Harrison Ford does sport one. Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like the way his whole vibe, if you can picture this, was like, and this will be good for Jerry, but like, you'll get this, but it was almost like guy who goes on Craigslist for like an old Ludwig drum set and has to drive to like, has to drive like 30, 40 minutes outside of LA to meet some guy who has one in his garage selling it. Harrison Ford is the guy selling it.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a great story. I like that. Now, what was it? How did you interview him and Shia LaBeouf?
That was, well, they were on promoting the movie.
And what were you doing?
And I was just interviewing them. I remember I must have.
On what show was it? Or
Oh,
what?
well, it was on MTV's. It was a show called Total Request Live, and it was
yeah.
a music
I remember
video countdown show. And we were, live every day, Monday through Friday, from Times Square in New York. And we would have multiple, sometimes huge celebrities on, and I would interview them, or my other co-hosts would interview them. And yeah, so when I say, when I say I sort of don't remember it, it's because they were on that day, and then J-Lo was probably on, and
Yeah.
Diddy made an appearance, and so it's like it was a bit of a nonstop sort of parade of celebrities. So
Did you
cool.
write the interview questions when you
No.
co-host a show like that? That's all. Okay.
No, yeah, that was all done by the writers or the producers, and yeah, I mean, I got to sort of rehearse the questions, and if I felt like maybe changing something to make it sound more me, or if I had a question, a genuine sort of curiosity about a guest, I was able to ask that. So yeah.
Now, was the 8-year-old in you with the whip? Was he like
Oh, yeah.
straining to get out and just tackle Harrison Ford and give him a big fat hug and ask him everything? Yeah.
Totally. It was like I just wanted to be like, dude, you can't do that either, right? You can't. There's no cool way of saying that,
Right.
Like,
I know
what do you-
everybody else is goofy about this, but I'm cool about it.
Yeah.
Just sign my face.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what are you doing after the show? We could go around the neighborhood.
I feel like we'd be best friends, Harrison Ford.
I got a whip.
Just hang out. Yeah. Let's play the Indiana Jones trivia game. It would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear he was nice.
He was super nice.
Me too.
And I've only heard really good things about him. He's just but yeah, I've heard he's a big stoner, and yeah, but just a super laid back, cool. He's exactly who you'd want him to be.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
And then, and by the way, I'm leaving out Shia LaBeouf, who was equally as friendly and nice and cool and
cool.
awesome, but he sort of, in comparison to, Harrison Ford, he sort of pales in comparison to his celebrity, what he at least meant to me as, a child,
Of course.
And so,
He was young whippersnapper cool.
yeah, he was young whippersnapper cool.
Old timey.
But
yeah.
I remember we sort of would play games like what Jimmy Fallon does on the Tonight Show, silly games. We pitch them to celebrities, and a lot of them would be, I don't want to play a game. That sounds silly. That might make me. And Shia was always like, whatever you guys want to do, I'm
cool.
game. Let's have.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he was totally cool. Yep.
That has been one of the surprises for us doing this minute by minute, is that we actually are kind of Mutt fans. Like he's sort of cast as like one of the obvious like scapegoats of the movie not being great. But I don't know. He's pretty good. He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask. So if Mutt gets the hat taken away, do you still think that he's actually Indy's son?
Yes.
It just hit me. I mean, he's nowhere to be. We don't know what's going to happen in Indiana Jones 5, but he's not in it, right?
I've never heard that he's in it or that Marion is in it. So
Do we know
I don't
anything about
We know some casting stuff, but I don't want to say it because I'm not sure it's all like official or like actually announced or anything. But there's like been leaked stuff.
I've avoided all that stuff. I try to
Yeah.
go into those movies totally naked, not knowing
That's
you
good.
know, just knowing,
probably
yeah,
better.
not knowing a damn thing. The Star Wars ones and all that.
I have a friend who was a fellow writer on Family Guy, and he's been a writer for quite some time. And he told me about, I think about a year ago, he said he got a call from his manager, and Steven Spielberg wanted him to come in to the studio lot, and they all tested and everything, and they were in a room, and they didn't know why they were there, but it was Steven Spielberg related, and he said he wanted to. It was him and like 5 other pretty big, producer, showrunner, writers in Hollywood, and it was just a pitch session on the next Indiana Jones.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, and he was telling me about that, and he said Spielberg was so awesome, like just a really cool guy.
Awesome.
Yeah. And he says, from what he's heard, he's excited about the next one. So we'll see.
All right.
One of the themes that we've had, and well, Pete and Tommy have brought up, talking about the arc of Steven Spielberg's career. Do you think that now he could make a good Raiders movie or Indiana Jones movie? Nothing against him,
Right.
but I think Tommy had said, like, he's moved away from that type of thing. He just he doesn't really do those types of movies anymore. Maybe just a personal choice.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I just saw the new Top Gun and I thought it was fantastic, like everybody else. I do think he has the capability of making a really great movie, another Indiana Jones movie. It definitely, those movies, you couldn't launch a new, series like in that style. It's a very sort of, I think a movie that style is of its time.
Yeah.
And so you go in kind of, knowing, okay, well, that's very, convenient. And so you sort of forgive a lot of the, those things. And the shots can be a little, blatant, I guess, maybe. Like the camera shots and stuff. But I think he totally can do it. But I just also, that's not, making E.T. and Raiders, and Indiana Jones movies and movies like that, sort of big, those don't really even exist anymore unless you're already an established franchise. So,
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good
it's just
point.
hard to get everyone on the same page now. That's what it is. That's why Top Gun was so great. It was because when the first Top Gun came out, there weren't, there was like 8 things to watch in total in all of, there were like, 3 movies, and then there were 8 television channels, whatever it was. And so it's sort of, in a way, it's kind of impossible to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had for 117. Jerry, is there anything coming in over something?
There is something. Well, no, there's nothing coming in. It's the last minute, and I think we're not going to complete the. Oh, wait a minute!
Oh my God!
Firing up! This coming in hot over the wire, making all the minutes from Professor Christy Porter. A good question. If you were not able to use the hat in the final minutes of what was the final movie for Indiana Jones, what would you use instead?
Oh wow!
You mean if you're Steven Spielberg, or if you're Mutt? Well, who do you mean?
Nah, I guess if you're Steven Spielberg,
Like
Pete.
if the movie
like
uses it as a thing.
The
It's
movie
like the gag
uses
of the
the
movie.
hat. Yeah,
If the costume director was like, guys, I got bad news. They're ready to shoot. They got to wrap, before they go into overtime, before the crew starts, getting surly. And the costume director goes, guys, left the hat at home. Like, what would they do?
Hat's got to catch an early flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have his bag and we have a whip.
I think
That's all we
the
got.
whip.
Can you make a gag out of that?
Yeah, the whip. Yeah, the whip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He snatches the collection plate or something with it. I don't know.
Dude, I mean, he could have done something with the chalice from the church.
Oh yeah.
It's
That'd
tricky.
be respectful.
Yeah.
It's tricky to have to do that scene, you know, in a church. You have a guy, you know, a man, you know, on a cross, you know, we all know what happened. And then you throw a whip in and it's a little too, right? Is that
It's a little too soon.
It's a little-
a little Jesus is not going to be happy about that in the
No,
in his,
nor are his pals.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Damien, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys.
This has been awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Damien.
Thank you
Very much.
Yeah. Nice to
I'm-
meet you guys.
I'm a little bit sad. I'm a little bit sad. I don't know.
Oh,
I
the
can't
movie's all done?
explain it. It's one of those things where logic and emotions are not always are not always synchronous.
I'll be there with
know,
you in a minute. I'm not there yet because I know we still got a few more minutes of credits and stuff. But yeah, I'll be with you in a minute there, Jerry.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Is there anything that you'd like to talk about or promote, Damien? That you're, what's going on in your life, what you're up to?
Well, you know, Family Guy's on, new season starting up in September. So definitely check that out.
Cool.
Yeah, at Damien Fahey on Instagram, and that's kind of the only social media thing I'm on. But yeah, and that's kind
Cool.
of it. Yeah.
Well, congrats, man.
Thank you.
Congrats on the new season.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And everybody out there, you are well done. No, what? I don't know what that means. But yes, come back. Not next week. Come back tomorrow. We're just going to go the rest of the week. We're going to go every day of the week finishing out this movie. So come back tomorrow for minute 118 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Mutt?
What?
Oh, kind of left hanging.
You're all right.